Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RealClear Politics Takeaway for Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. It's Election Day. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RealClear Politics.
And I'm Carl Cannon in Northern Virginia, which is ground zero, Tom.
What's going to happen today, Carl? You're there.
Virginia is not a purple state, really, Tom. It's really a Democratic state now. But the state just across the Potomac River to us, Maryland, is one of the most Democratic states in the country. It has a Republican governor. Massachusetts, where our producer, Andy Walworth, knows the governor there, Charlie Baker. He's a Republican in a very Democratic state. It kind of feels like a Democratic state's going to have a Republican governor. I don't know for sure. It's just too close to call.
Certainly, Glenn Youngkin, the Republican, has all the momentum. The last three polls that have been released in this race, he was up 8 points in the Fox News poll, 2 points in two other polls that came out yesterday. He's ahead by about 1.7 percentage points in our RealClear Politics average. Carl, he seems to have made ground in those very northern Virginia suburbs, particularly on the education issue. He is finished his campaign in Loudoun County, was in Virginia Beach yesterday. Terry McAuliffe is canceled an event yesterday, wouldn't answer questions about it. We saw a bunch of stories yesterday about how the Democrats are scrambling to activate the African-American vote, which McAuliffe got 90% of last time he ran in 2013, but isn't doing nearly as well apparently this time around. That's going to be a problem for him. If he's losing ground in the Northern Virginia suburbs, Carl, and he's not winning the black vote overwhelmingly, that is a recipe for disaster for Terry McAuliffe today.
Well, also Republicans, gubernatorial candidates, for reasons that we ought to pay attention to after this is over, tend to underpoll in Virginia. I don't know why that is. It's happened the last couple of elections. The Democrat won, so people didn't really pay it very much mind. But if Republicans are underpolling, Youngkin's going to win. The Democrats look nervous. They brought in the heavy guns. Joe Biden, Barack Obama, they did pretty stirring campaign events. You forget these guys were really good campaigners, both of them, Biden and Obama. But they sound a little desperate. The hanging Donald Trump around Youngkin's neck, over and over and over again. It just seems like they're afraid they haven't made the sale yet.
No, certainly not. And Biden's not helping with his approval rating in the low 40s nationally and also in Virginia. And Terry McAuliffe has acknowledged that he's been a sort of a drag on the ticket, but nevertheless invited him to campaign there anyway. How big of a deal is this, Carl? I mean, look, win or lose, the fact that this race is as close as it is for Republicans, I think gives you an indication of where the political winds are blowing. But if McAuliffe does lose this race, is that even more devastating for Democrats, or does it not matter at this point?
Well, my view is we can do the postmortem when it's actually over. What I'm looking at today is two things you said and a third variable, Tom. I mean, the African-American vote not only has to break overwhelmingly for Terry McAuliffe, but it has to turn out. The other thing is these, Loudoun County, which is, if it's 50-50 out there, that's trouble for Terry. The other thing, though, on the other side of the ledger is we don't know what Gen Z is going to do, and they're underpolled primarily because you're talking about people who didn't vote last time, because they weren't old enough. And some of these very young voters, all the surveys we've done at RealClear Opinion Research show that they're more liberal than their elders. They're not necessarily more partisan, but they're definitely more liberal. If the young voters turn out, nobody's talking about them, but if they turn out heavily, Terry McAuliffe could still win.
All right. Well, we will know maybe tomorrow, maybe not, Carl, the way they count votes these days. And if it's close, who knows?
I expect
we may be going into overtime and recounts, and we may even have a candidate who fails to concede the race.
Tom,
my God, Tom, what's happening to our democracy, Carl?
I think we'll know tonight. But my credibility on this is not as good as yours, because I predicted that 2020 would be I confidently predicted it would be a race like all other races, and the loser would concede, and it wouldn't be that close, and we'd know who the president was. There's still people who don't seem to know who the president is, so I defer to your wisdom, but hopefully we'll know tonight.
My cynical prediction is that this race is going to be so close, it'll be less than 1%, and that McAuliffe is, I think McAuliffe will probably lose. He'll lose by less than 1%. And because God has a sense of humor, he will not concede the election, and he will become the new Stacey Abrams, the uncontested, or the contested, I should say, governor of Virginia, the shadow governor, if you will.
Well, 100 years from now, it'd be a trivia question. What if you were right? What did Terry McAuliffe, Stacey Abrams, and Donald Trump have in common?
That's right. All right, we will leave it there for this morning. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RealClear Politics.
And I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief, and this has been the RCP Takeaway for Tuesday, November 2nd, Election Day, 2021.